You know the moment. You close that laptop. You say to yourself, that's me done for the day. But when you look around yourself, you're in the same room. You're even maybe at the same chair that you've been at all day. That 10 a.m. coffee that went cold, that's still on the side. Nothing around you proves that the day is over. Nothing says to your body, that's it, I've left the office, because the office is around you. So part of you doesn't actually believe it, and it's quite right not to. It's not getting the signal that you've left the office. So this episode is not about working too much. It's for when we are a remote worker and we never actually leave the office. Hi, it's Damian, and welcome back to the Somatic frequency. A few years ago I worked with a gentleman called Dale, and I have to say, when I first met him, he absolutely resented the commute into work. This was back in the days before COVID. He felt like he was doing this unbilled work with this 90-minute journey in the car every single morning and every single evening. When COVID came along, the company decided, hey, we're going to do remote working, and they stuck with it afterwards. And for the first few weeks, Dale said it was great. He closed the laptop, he swiveled his chair, and that was his morning commute. That was his evening commute. But then the cracks started showing. Dinner was 3 feet away from that difficult call from the afternoon. There was paperwork on the side that was a constant reminder to him that he was still at work. This was the sign to his body. He was still at work. He had the same room for both living and working, for both being on and off. So it ended up that he was never quite at work, but he was never quite off of work either. The two merged into one. It was a bit of both everywhere. And he really couldn't point at what was wrong. There was just something had changed since he started doing remote working. If you looked at the hours, they were fine. They were fine. He was just working the normal hours he'd always worked in the office. But when he finished for the day, he was obviously at home, so there was no commute, but he never arrived. He never actually left the office within his nervous system. You see, your body, your nervous system doesn't run on a clock. It runs on your environment, your surroundings. If you are in a bathroom, it knows it is there for one thing. If you're in a kitchen, you're there for something else. A dining room, something else. It takes signals from the things around you, the context of what you're doing. And as we move between those rooms, so as we move from home to office, that is sending a big signal to our nervous system that the workday begins or the workday ends. But when we work from home, those signals disappear. There is no commute. There's no office door anymore. So we've removed those signals that tell us, our body, what state we should be in, but we kept the work. Our on place and our off place are now within the same four walls. So this isn't a case of you can't switch off. It's just nothing is showing to your body that you're out of the office. That office door, when you walk through that door in the morning or you walk through it in the evening, that was doing way more than you thought. That opening and closing of it, that was a threshold. It was a way to change the state you were in. On one side of the door, you were at home. It was the home state. And on the other, it was work. And the door gave it context. It made it feel real. It was an anchor. You didn't lose the balance. You didn't lose the home-life balance. But they started cross-polluting. Now that might make you feel like you failed. You might feel like, yeah, well, there is no work-life balance, and that's true. It's not failure. It's not failure. There's no threshold. There's no threshold to cross when you stop work or when you start work. Generally speaking, we relied on the architecture to tell us when we walked into the office in the morning, we were walking into the building, in through the office door. That was our signal. That architecture did a lot for us. So of course, when we removed the threshold, when we removed the confines for the two lives, they're going to run together. And this means that when you sat down together to dinner, you're still buzzing. Your head is still back in the office, going through that meeting, going through that paperwork. And when you wake up in the morning and you make your morning coffee, you're already at the desk. You're already getting ready for your first call. And that's not undisciplined. That is not a case of you can't leave work at work, because you are at work. Work is your home. The body lost the signal it trusted, and there was nothing to replace it. So we just need that door. We need a threshold. Now, thankfully, as far as your nervous system is concerned, you don't need a physical door for a threshold. Your body will accept a felt crossing as readily as a real one. So it really doesn't care if it's wood or breath, only that there is a real threshold. Now on Sunday we're going to go deeper into this. We're going to create that threshold. Your own portable door that you can carry around, that closes and opens as you choose it to. But between now and then, what I'd like you to do is just notice those moments when you say the day is over. It's 4, 5 o'clock, whatever time it is, and you close that laptop down. Just notice what's happening in your body. Just notice what's happened when there's no seam, no gap. Just take a breath and notice. Now on Sunday, we're not going to fix this by force. We're just going to notice that the seam is missing and recreate the seam. But before we can recreate that seam, we need to find the wall to build the door into. So, on Sunday, join me, and we will recreate this theme. We will recreate this threshold. Now, if you want to go further with somatics, if you want to see how it really can transform your relationship with your nervous system, not just for solving the problems, getting rid of the static, the noise, but for genuinely transforming your approach to business, to work, then join me on the 3-day reset. It's free. Just follow the link in the episode's notes. So you can know this episode is complete, so just take a breath and let it land, and enjoy the rest of your week.